I'm always worried about getting into CCGs. Some of them look great, but I avoid them. I don't want to get into that junky behavior, buying booster packs like crazy. But sometimes one comes along I just can't ignore. I love Warhammer, and I tried this one at Gen Con, and let me tell you, I really liked it, so I might be hooked. I might be hooked on Age of Sigmar Champions.
Warhammer Age of Sigmar Champions is a collectible card game set in the Warhammer Age of Sigmar universe, originally created for the Games Workshop miniatures game of the same name. There are 4 alliances you can choose from to construct a deck around: Order, Chaos, Death, and Destruction. The game starts with your 4 champions in play, each with a blessing placed underneath them. On your turn, you can take 2 actions. As an action, you can play a card on one of your champions. Units and spells stay in play and will deal damage, heal, provide protection, and offer powerful abilities when triggered. Ability cards are played for their effect and then discarded. Each time a card is played on a champion, if the card type matches the icon in the upper left corner of the champion, you rotate the champion 1 step counterclockwise. When the champion is rotated 4 times, its blessing is revealed and becomes active. Blessing cards are extremely powerful spells and abilities. Now that you have some units and spells in play, each of your subsequent turns begin by rotating all of your deployed units and spells and blessings counterclockwise 1 step. This will activate their abilities again. As they rotate, they often evolve and become more powerful, or in some cases weaker, and eventually expire. When a unit or spell expires, they're discarded, opening up a slot for a new unit or spell to be played. So those are the basics of Age of Sigmar Champions. Now it's up to you to hit the battlefield, trade blows, heal, remove opponent's crap, manipulate the board state until you can pound your opponent's health to 0, claiming victory.
I've played a good many CCGs in my day. We used to play, Star Trek The Next Generation and Jihad and Vampire the Embrace, Illuminati, all these different ones. Magic the Gathering was our big game. We played it for years, and we all loved it. We built multiple decks. We were getting together just to play on the living room floor. For years, we were doing that, and we loved it. But eventually, CCG seemed to fall out of favor in our group. We went to hobby board games, we went to miniatures games, and CCGs kind of fell by the wayside. But there's always this bug in the back of my brain that says, CCGs are good, let's do it. CCGs or LCGs, I don't care. Deck building is where it's at, right? Well, this one is a collectible card game, so you're going to be getting starter packs, and you're going to be getting booster packs and all that stuff, and you have to decide, do you want that random draw nonsense to be in your life? Well, I'm okay with it. If the game is good enough, I'm okay with it. And let me tell you, I'm so happy that I discovered this game. At Gen Con this year, we played it, and I just had to get all the starter decks because I love the uniqueness of the way this game plays. It doesn't feel like those other games that we played before. It's a new thing, but it still gives me vibes of that CCG feel, right? Now, the starter decks. There's 4 different starter decks, and each one of them plays differently. I love, the Order. They do some damage, but they're all about protection. They're all about healing. So it's fun to play those guys. You're gonna be very survivable. You got the Orcs and Chaos. They're doing a lot of damage, but each one of them does it in a different way. And the Undead, which is my absolute favorite, is just a toolbox of rotten nonsense, man. They're going to be healing themselves. They're going to be bringing their units back. They're going to be removing your stuff. It's so much fun to play, and they all play very differently. Now, I will say that I do feel that the Orcs might be a little more powerful than the other 3 decks. Now, granted, that's just starter decks, and of course, balancing starter decks kind of is difficult. You can always build to defeat the Orcs later, but that is something that I've noticed. Now, deck building. This game is great for deck building. Just the nuance of everything that goes on in this game is terrific. Now, it's a very simplistic game. Now, my overview was a minute and 30 seconds or something. Really, all it is your turn comes up, you activate all your stuff, and you take 2 actions. Usually that's playing 2 cards. That's the end of your turn. Simple. Now, granted, I didn't mention every last detail of the rules in the overview there. There's a little more to it than that, but it's all those little simple rules like what does this thing do and what does that thing do and this activated ability and that kind of stuff. That's where all the meat comes from. But really, Really where the meat comes from is in the deck building and then pacing your deck, right? So there's champions. There's 4 champions. You have to decide which 4 champions you're going to have in there. There's 2 different types of champions. There's warriors and there's wizards. Wizards cast spells. Warriors deploy units. You have to decide what's the balance. Where am I going to have 1 wizard and 3 champions? That's typically how the starter decks are. But you could go all wizards if you want, I imagine. I don't know if that'd be a good deck or not, but you could. So there's that balance of where are you going to do that? And then you got to balance your deck to that, right? You got to put the units and the spells in that match the champions that you have and then try to make those combos. Blessings. Blessings are game-changing cards, man. The whole game, they call it questing, right? Where you rotate your champion, and when he rotates 4 times around, they call it quest. He's on a quest to find his blessing. When he gets his blessing, bam, the board state's going to change at that point. These are game-changing cards, which is so cool because that's the goal of the game. The goal of the game is to get your guy to 0, right? But the easiest way to do that is to build a fantastic, like, atomic bomb that you're going to drop on them when you open up those blessings. And if you can time that just right and time those things all to happen at the right time, boom, 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 you're going to win. It's so much fun to see that happen. But see, this is the great thing about the game. It's all about the pacing. It's all about the pacing and the timing. And the pacing comes in the deck building to make sure that the deck is paced well so that things are going to come out and be used properly during the game. And then in the game, you have to know how to work that pacing. So like I said, there's those 4 champions out there. That means essentially you can have 4 cards active at once, 4 in-play cards at once. Once you fill all those slots up, you're not playing anything else other than those one-time abilities. So those things can last about 2 to 4 turns where you're doing nothing but letting them run their course, you see. Now, that's awesome because in this game, here's the thing. It's kind of weird. When you first play, you never draw cards in this game from your deck. You have to sacrifice actions to draw the cards. So if I sacrifice 2 actions, I get to draw 2 cards. That means you did nothing on your turn other than what your cards already out are doing. So the pacing of this game is so cool because you're going to put all those cards out and you're going to let that machine run. And then you have to be building a hand for when those cards rotate away and go to the discard pile, you got a new set of cards to put out and ready to get that engine moving again. Because as a novice player, many times I would sit there and I'd have nothing. And, you know, like they'd rotate away and I'd be like, my hand is like, I got 2 cards. I don't know what to do here. And I would just draw cards and my turns were just drawing cards and it made me feel bad. That was noviceness. You have to make sure that the pacing works. You have to keep that hand flush with cool stuff while your other stuff that's out is working. Such a cool concept for this game. Man, I'm just adoring this game. I think it's just so well done. Now, here's the thing. I've tried many CCGs lately. LCGs too. Warhammer Conquest didn't work for me. I didn't really like the game that much. We played Star Wars Destiny last year. I did like the game. I thought it was cool. But the problem is, everybody that wants to play lives in California, Canada, and friggin' North Carolina, Maine, all over the place. I don't have anybody to play these games with. This one has an app. Your collection that you buy physically in the store, you take the phone and you scan them into the app. The app has your cards in it, a digital collection that you can play online with your friends with the physical cards you own. This is terrific. This gives this hope. It gives me hope that I'll be able to play a CCG with the people who like to play CCGs because nobody around here likes to play CCGs with me. So I'm very excited. And I got to tell you, the app is stellar right now. I mean, it's still in beta for game playing. I didn't get accepted to the beta test, so I don't know how the game actually plays, but the technology behind scanning these cards is fantastic. Man, I'm telling you, you just put your phone over those cards, it goes and it scans them. They're right in there. You can build decks and stuff. They did a great job with it. And if there's only like 1 or 2 cards that I have, Opportunity Strike, I know specifically one, that for some reason that card doesn't want to scan. I have like 4 copies or 8 copies of it or something, and none of them want to scan. They eventually did, but it's just funny that's the one that didn't. Anyway, app is fantastic. Game is terrific. I'm enjoying the hell out of this game. I love it, and I'm going to try my best to stick with this sucker and play this thing online with my buddies. Now, the only problem is with this game is I don't have any dwarves yet.
Thanks so much, everybody. If you've enjoyed this video, please do us a giant favor by subscribing to the channel and clicking that wacky bell icon. If you're into board games, miniatures games, role-playing games, we have a bunch of audio podcasts you might enjoy. You can find those at thesecretcabal.com or on iTunes and Stitcher.